process. And by speed of the process, I mean speed of the dance to a sale. How fast or slow is this supposed to feel? How's this supposed to go? The first thing that I would say about this is that, guys, when that person is in front of you, that is by far the best time to make things happen because they're the most emotionally receptive, right? They've got some level of dissatisfaction. Now they're in there and they're in there willing to talk to a salesperson, which almost nobody ever wants to do. And so they're in there, they're receptive to some degree. Take that seriously. It's important that they're there and we really want to try to make things happen while they're there, right? So I think there's a lot of salespeople that think that, you know, it's impolite to close on the first time, or it's not cool, or it's not considerate, or it's pushy, or it's even that it's not possible, right? And so sometimes I think there's these misconceptions of like how long this process is supposed to take. Like, oh, you know, I really think it should take 2 or 3 weeks because that gives them time to think and come back a couple times. And I would want 2 or 3 weeks if it was me. And, you know, we start to have all these ideas, right? And so I just want to share a couple things that are going to help you to understand what to expect at the speed of this process, right? So first of all, I think one thing to understand is you always want to go as fast as possible, but not so fast that you lose them. Right? So if you go too fast, it will feel choppy and they'll feel rushed and they'll be back here and there will be a gap and that's gonna make them uncomfortable, right? And you're gonna lose them and you either have to come back and get them or you might just completely lose them, right? But they're in there and they wanna make some things happen, at least to some degree they do. So if you move too slow and they're up here and they're wanting to go and you're going like this, that's not good either, right? So you want to move as fast as you can, but you want to go sort of in increments that they can handle, right? If they're feeling a little rushed, have to go back here, do. If they're a little slower, okay, come here, do. But you want to keep things moving, okay? So I think that's one very helpful thing. Moving as fast as possible, but it should be at a rate that the person can't really perceive any abrupt changes. I think almost maybe a good example is like flying a plane, right? So an ideal plane ride, you wouldn't really feel anything. You sort of naturally lift off and there'd be no turbulence and you naturally land and you're like, man, that's amazing, right? Versus the not so good plane ride where there's all this turbulence and you're kind of flying all over the place. You're like, oh my gosh, you know, this airline sucks, this pilot sucks, I feel like I'm gonna be sick. Is the person next to me gonna be sick, right? So we don't like that. So I think you sort of want it to be like that. You sort of want it to be moving in a way that is pleasant, that the changes are not really perceivable, that it's smooth changes, that it's comfortable, that it's like this comfortable ride to the finish, right? So the more of an expert you become at that, the more you'll be able to do that. But that's sort of how you want it to feel like. You almost want it to feel like nothing even happens. Like they came in, you picked them up, you helped them, you dropped them off at exactly where they needed to be, everything was smooth. It's like, man, what just happened, right? So the better you get at this, the more you're gonna be able to do that. But yeah, moving as fast as possible without losing them. You don't wanna move too fast or too slow. You wanna stay with them, right? The other thing quickly that I wanna share, the speed of the process, obviously is gonna be a little shorter video, is you're sort of looking for windows of opportunity. What do I mean by that? What I mean is, I think sometimes some salespeople maybe feel like, you know, their company taught them like this master way to sell, and you gotta talk about this, you gotta talk about that, you gotta talk about that, and then, you know, the people come in and they shop you and they grade you like, oh, they didn't talk about whatever, right? This little thing about our company, so I gave them a 90 instead of a 100, right? In real life though, that's not how real life sales works. How real life sales works is there's gonna be a moment, or maybe moments, but maybe at least one moment, hopefully, where there's a window of opportunity where you have to take it. Now, sometimes you go through the entire sales process and that window of opportunity to ask for the sale is at the end and you take it. But it's very important for people to know that sometimes a sale can happen really fast. Like sometimes you can sell a high ticket item within like 60 seconds, you know, or a minute or two. Like sometimes it can be extremely fast. Sometimes the person already knows what they want. Sometimes they already saw it and they just need you to help them. Sometimes they just want the first thing you see, and what you were showing them was close by and you show them. But they won't always say, yes, I want to buy this one right now, let's sign the contract. It will happen like, so what I'm saying is there might be a window of opportunity sooner, and you have to be ready for that, and you have to understand that the goal of the sales process for you is not to, you know, go through all the steps and have an award-winning sales presentation and receive an Oscars, right? The goal is the sale, and it doesn't matter how it happens, but it needs to freaking happen. And, you know, needs to happen ethically and morally, right? It needs to be the right thing for that person's life. But what I mean is, you don't have to go through 1,000 steps in a perfect process and then like, ta-da, like I did my presentation, right? So you're looking for the window of opportunity. So sometimes what will happen is the person will come in and the window of opportunity will be soon. And they might say something like, I'm trying to think of what they would say. The person might say something like, wow, like this looks amazing, right? Or maybe they'll say something like, wow, I would love this one. They will say something that's like, it's not 100% clear, but if you hear something like that, like, wow, this looks really good, or this looks amazing, or I could see myself with that, or, right? That's probably a good one. If they say anything like that, that's a green flag. Let's put it that way. These are green flags, right? That means there might be a window of opportunity. So even if you haven't asked them 1,000 million questions yet, now would still be the time to say, would you like to go with that one? Or would you like to go with that one? And they might say yes. So now the sale is done, right? But be willing to ask for the sale early. If they say something that makes you feel that maybe they want that one, and it's gonna sound something like this. It's not gonna be like, I want that one, let's fill out the paperwork, here's my credit card, let's run they're not gonna say like that. But if they say something like this, that is a strong indicator of interest, and you gotta ask for the sale there. Like, okay, great, like, would you like to go with that one? And maybe they'll say like, yeah, actually I think I would. And they're like, okay, great, you write everything up. So sometimes it happens like this. Or they start asking you questions. Or they're like, yeah, you know, I really like it, but it doesn't have this. And then you might say, okay, well, you know, if we found something like this that also had that thing, you know, would that be a good fit for you? Yeah, that would be a good fit. And then you find it and you suggest that, and then maybe that's it, maybe not. You kind of keep going with your dance to the sale. But the point of this video, of the speed of the process, like I already said, move as quick as you can without losing them, without being choppy about it, like the plane ride, right? It keeps it moving, it's quick, but it's also sensitive to the person's needs, and it's gentle and it's smooth. Be willing to notice the windows of opportunity. They might be earlier. Be willing to ask for the sale, willing to close it out. These are the types of things you're listening for, okay? So, shorter video, hope that's helpful. Speed of the process. Moving on to the next item.